Greetings, peace be unto you. In this video, I will try to establish that the present prevalent way of slaughtering animals in halal slaughterhouses around the UK is not in compliance with the Islamic spirit at all, taking into account that humans have progressed in science and it is mandatory for Islamic rituals, especially relating to slaughtering of animals, to comply with that. Because if they do not comply, they are rather failing in the wisdom humans have been bestowed with by Almighty God. And to ignore that, just for the sake of ritual, goes against the Islamic spirit. I will try to give my reasons and I will expect reasonable responses. I know this video might trigger some emotional responses, abuses even from certain Islamic preachers or thinkers, but I can assure you they will have no real basis to refute my arguments here. View the video with an open mind. Thank you. Okay, so let's start. So we are talking about the Islamic way of slaughtering animals, or zabiha as we know. So what is the basis of this zabiha? So first of all, it has basis with having halal meat. So let's see where the basis comes from. So Surah number 5 verse number 3 reads, "Forbidden for you are carrion and blood and flesh of swine, and that which has been slaughtered while proclaiming the name of any other than God," here is Allah, "and one killed by strangling," okay, one killed with blunt weapons, and one which died by falling, and that which was gored by horns of some animals, and one eaten by a wild beast, except those whom you slaughter, and that which is slaughtered at the altar, and which is distinguished by throwing of arrows for an omen, that this is an act of sin. Okay, so here you go. So basically, the animal has to be slaughtered. We understand that. And we cannot take any other God's name other than the name of Allah. So here, if you read Arabic, here you will find the word as Allah. So if the animal was killed, whilst being killed in the name of Vishnu, Hindu god, or any other name of any other god was taken, that animal's meat is not halal for us Muslims. But what if no name of any god was taken? So if you read this verse, absolutely, the Quran itself is very clear. It doesn't say that an animal which was slaughtered, but no name of any god was taken, we cannot eat that. There's nothing to suggest that at all. So to do that will be an exaggeration. And whatever Allah has made halal for us, nobody can make that haram or forbidden for us. There are several Quranic verses to say that, because Allah is the lawgiver. He is the ultimate lawgiver. Another name of Quran is Furqan, that is to say what is right and what is wrong. So hadiths or any other interpreter can interpret, but the basis has to be in Quran. And if there is no basis, there is no scope for giving new laws, period. No matter what any other scholars say, that is my opinion. Now let's go for other verses which might be relevant. Here again, Surah Baqarah, that means Surah number 2, verse number 173. "He has only forbidden you what dies of itself, and blood, and flesh of swine, and that over which any other name other than Allah has been invoked, but whoever is driven by necessity, not desiring, necessity. We have fangs. We humans have fangs. We are carnivores. We eat animal meat. So necessity can be justified for us to eat meat if we are in a place where there is no sort of place where we could see that animals even were slaughtered in the Islamic way, sort of, and then not desiring that I'm not having the meat just for fun. No, not exceeding limit or not exceeding limit. Well, okay. So you know what? Obviously, I have to explain to you what means not exceeding limit. And then again, forbidden to you are dead meat, blood, the flesh of swine, that on which has been invoked the name of other than Allah, and which has been killed by strangling, understood, violent blow, understood, headlong fall, understood, being gored to death, understood, which has been partly eaten by animals, or unless you are able to slaughter it due form, that which is sacrificed on a stone. That means, there are many religions which sacrifice their animals in their God's name, like even Hindus, they call it boli. That's not allowed for us. Also driven of animals, rifling of arrows, that is impiety. So obviously you understand as it goes on. Again, this day all good things are allowed to you, and the food of those who have been given the book. Who are the people of the book? The people of the book are the Christians and the Jews. So their food is halal for us. But amongst the Christians who believe in the Trinity, scholars say that, they are not in fact the people of the book, because in Quran, Trinity is condemned. So the Christians who believe in Trinity, their food, their way of killing might not be allowed. That's what it is saying. Provided this is only a scholar's opinion. But the Quran says it is allowed. Simple as that. Allowed. Again, if you say that the people of the book, even their food is, if the scholars say the people of the book doesn't count the people who are believing in Trinity, still their food should be allowed and halal if they simply comply with this slaughter. Simple as that. Because they do not take any God's name. In the UK, the slaughterhouses do not take, as a practice, do not take any God's name whilst killing. Simple. Again, in Surah number 6, verse number 118, it says, therefore eat of that on which Allah's name has been mentioned if you are believers in His communications. Okay. We don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure this out. We do not have to be rocket scientists. Therefore, eat of that on which Allah's name has been mentioned. It does not mean that we have to take Allah's name whilst slaughtering. It does not mean so. No, it does not. But as Muslims, it is our practice to say Bismillah while slaughtering. It's alright, because the Muslims should be doing anything in the name of Allah anyway, any good deed. We are not allowed to do any bad deeds, so that's alright. So how do you take Allah's name? Therefore eat on which Allah's name has been mentioned. How do you do that? Just simply say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, you eat it. That's it. The job is done. How do you start a journey? The same way. Take Allah's name and start the journey. How do you sleep? Take Allah's name and go to sleep. Simple logic. Simple logic. So there's nothing in the Quran to say two things. You can, the animals have to be slaughtered, and while slaughtering, Allah's name has to be taken. These two together, there is no Quranic provision to establish that. Rather, there are exemptions even for slaughtering. The slaughtering is a must. Exceptions are there for necessity and other reasons. So, and other reasons I have already explained to you. The Quranic verses are very, very clear. So, here recently, there was a survey, and it has been found, believe it or not, that in the UK, 84% of animals slaughtered in Muslim slaughterhouses are stunned first, as in any other common slaughterhouses in the UK, which are not Muslim slaughterhouses. So 84%. You can do your own research in your time, but this is very clear that 87% are slaughtered and stunned first. So I did some further research and found out that there are even organizations which are monitoring the humane ways of slaughtering animals. There are various organizations. For example, this is an organization which monitors humane killing. So, Humane Slaughter Association. Okay. So going back to the point of Quranic verses, you will see, if you read this Surah number 5, verse number 3, if you read this carefully, the whole purpose behind slaughtering animals, not being killed this way, that way, because the animals should be killed humanely, and the animals must not suffer. That's the main purpose of why slaughtering is being ordered, and strangling forbidden, killed by blunt weapons forbidden, right? You don't have to be a rocket scientist or one which is died by falling, you don't have to be rocket scientist to figure it out. Or animals which were half eaten, that means which were eaten by other animals and they had a very gory death. So those animals are not allowed in Islam. So this Humane Slaughter Association looks after that, whether animals are being slaughtered humanely. So there are common ways of killing, say, poultry. How the poultry are being killed? Large scale, if you read this, large scale of processing plants slaughter poultry using electric water baths, gas, and blah blah blah. That means these are used, electric water baths and gas are used to stunt the animals. And as soon as they're stunned, then what happens? Then, to ensure birds die, they are then bled at the neck as soon as possible after they exit water bath. You see, very clear. So they are bled to death by the neck. Yes, this is the most common form of slaughtering animals in the UK. So this process is followed for all other slaughtering. In the UK, there are certain forms of stuntings are not allowed. For example, captive bolt stunning is not allowed. Percussion stunning not allowed. Gas stunning not allowed. These are overseen by HFA. All right. So these are forbidden. These are forbidden way of stunning in the British Halal Food Authority. Halal food authorities do not accept this form of stunning, but they do accept water bath stunning, electronic tongue stunning, and other form of stunning. So 84% of animals in halal butcher houses as well are stunned first. So what is the reason they do not accept captive bolt stunning or these stunnings? They say that other than slaughtering, these animals might die of such stunnings. That's the reason they give. That as Islamic ritual, we have to kill an animal by slaughtering. So these other form of stunning do not ensure instant death, but these are hardly proven to cause instant death. Rather, if they are stunted first, if the stunnings are done, the animals lose their consciousness, and then they are slaughtered. So, what is the most human way to slaughter an animal? Stun them first. Stun them first. So, captive bolt stunning also do not cause instant deaths in most of the times. And it is also proven that it takes about 22 seconds for large animals to lose consciousness, and 4 to 5 seconds for chickens and other poultry to lose consciousness. But they do suffer a lot if they are not stunned first. So they have to be stunned first, so that they lose consciousness, and then they are slaughtered. This is the most human way, which is being followed in the UK, and there is no basis. I don't care what the Jewish people say, because there's their way of arguing. I don't want to go into that. I'm not a Jew. So I'm just telling you, the Islamic way should follow the modern science, because 1400 years ago we didn't have stunning, we didn't have electricity, we didn't have gas. So those forms of those forms of stunning animals before slaughtering were not available. So as these methods are available, they are already being used by Muslim slaughterhouses. I don't believe there can be any reason for not eating animal meat just because they are not slaughtered in Muslim, so-called Muslim slaughterhouses. So let's watch a video how cows are slaughtered commonly in the UK. This is a slaughterhouse in the UK, and you will see.
I'm now getting the humane killer. This disengages the brain.
So it's a stun gun?
It's a stun gun.
Richard is John's son and right-hand man. He'll fire the stun gun.
See, the head can move up and down, although it can't move from side to side, and you have to be absolutely spot on.
And Richard's making sure that that's the case.
Spot on.
You can see this is a BBC report. The animal is being stunned first.
We have to. Welfare of the animal is very important at this stage. This is not meat at the moment. This is an animal, a live animal, until such time as it's slaughtered.
Here it comes.
Very important as well to the flavour of the meat that it's not stressed prior to slaughter.
Now Richard is going to stun the animal.
You have to be very accurate when you're shooting it. That's why he's being very, very careful. Now we have to move quite quickly.
What can it feel? How aware is the animal right now?
The animal will know absolutely nothing at all.
And then you see here, there you go. They're slaughtering. And then if you go to a Muslim slaughterhouse, you will be shocked what you will see there. You'll be shocked, simply shocked. If you see Muslim slaughterhouses, if you write this Muslim slaughterhouse in the UK, you will be shocked what you will see. They're stunned as well. and then they're slaughtered. But you can see the animal is suffering. You will see. Look. Look, they're not stunned. They're not stunned. And then they're lifted. Look. Now if you tell me, look, the animal is still suffering. You can hear the animal. So if you're telling me that this is according to Islam and the previous one is not according to Quran, sorry, this is bullshit. We need to wake up. This is just a business gimmick to make money out of your own kind.